Back in 2016, the state pension went through some big changes, and as such, the new state pension was born. In today's video, we are going to look at what is it, who is entitled, how much will you get, how does it keep pace with inflation, how do you claim it, how is it paid, when will you get it, how do you build up a full entitlement, what about the old state pension and if you contracted out, how do you top up your state pension if you're not entitled to the full amount, is it taxed when it's being paid, can you delay your state pension if you don't want it yet, how do you get your own personal state pension forecast, and finally, can you rely on it? Lots to cover. Everything is in chapters for you, so feel free to skip around to the parts relevant to you. I promise I won't be offended. My name is Tom Morgan, a financial advisor and planner based here in the UK. Welcome to That Finance Show if it's your first time here. Remember, all figures quoted are accurate at time of filming and subject to change. Let's begin with, what is it? Quite simply, the new state pension is a regular payment from the government that comes into payment at your state pension age and continues all the way until you snuff it. Who is entitled? To be eligible, you must have reached state pension age and have paid at least 10 years of national insurance, NI, contributions. In order to build up a full entitlement, you'll have needed to have paid 35 years of NI contributions. This is known as building up qualifying years. You'll pay national insurance and build up qualifying years if you're employed and earning over £242 a week from one employer, or if you're self-employed and are paying NI contributions accordingly. If you're earning less than £242 a week, you might not pay NI contributions, but you may still get a qualifying year if you earn between £123 and £242 a week from one employer. There's quite a lot to this, and so I don't bore you to tears. Here is a really useful link, which I'll leave in the description, which shows you what you need to do to build up qualifying years. It even discusses NI credits if you're claiming child benefit or get carer's allowance, for example. So have a read through. How much will you get? So this changes each tax year, but at time of recording we are in the 2023-24 tax year, and those entitled to the maximum state pension will now receive £203.85 per week. Don't forget, this is based on you having a full entitlement, having built up 35 years of full national insurance NI contributions and/or NI credits. Over 52 weeks of the year, this amounts to a gross annual amount of £10,600.20. There are, however, a couple of scenarios where you might actually get more than this amount. For example, if you have over a certain amount of something called additional state pension, which is all to do with benefits you may have built up in the old state pension system before it changed in 2016. Or if you defer or delay taking it beyond your state pension age, you will eventually get a higher weekly amount too. Things we'll cover later in the video. How does it keep pace with inflation? In order to keep pace with the ever-increasing cost of living, the state pension benefits from something known as the triple lock. This means that the amount you receive will increase each year in line with the highest of one of these three measures: average wage growth, inflation as measured by the Consumer Prices Index or CPI, or 2.5%. The most recent increase was a big one, with our current high rates of inflation seeing the new state pension payments increase by 10.1%. That's an unusually high increase. Here's what has been the case in previous years and how that triple lock has played out. As you can see on the right-hand column, which measure was triggered. And this is perhaps a better indication of what is more to be expected in normal circumstances. Due to the high rates of inflation we have now, it has often been thought that the triple lock is under threat and is likely to be scrapped, but it has survived for now. When will you get it? If we go back to November 2018, both women's and men's state pension ages were aligned together at 65. However, with life expectancy increasing and many more people spending more and more time in retirement, the state pension is an expensive beast for the government to fund, and they've been addressing this by increasing the state pension age. It's 66 now, but for anyone born after the 5th of April 1960, the state pension age is 67, but there are already plans to increase this further to 68 from 2044. Now, this is constantly under review. Expect further increases, I would say. By the time I get there, I'm expecting 70 or older, if it even still exists at all. The price I pay for youth. How do you claim it? Firstly, contrary to popular belief, you do not get your state pension automatically when you hit state pension age. You actually have to apply for it. As you approach your state pension age, you should receive a letter, usually about 3 or 4 months before you become eligible, notifying you of what you need to do. You can apply online using the code you'll be given on your letter, but there are other ways too, by phone or post. More information is available at this link here, which I'll also leave in the description for you. How is it paid? Well, it's usually paid every 4 weeks, straight into your bank account of choice. One point to note is that you're paid in arrears, so for the last 4 weeks just gone, not the coming 4 weeks. Your first payment arrives within 5 weeks of reaching your state pension age, because you're paid in arrears, and then you'll get a full payment every 4 weeks after that. The day your pension is paid out depends on the last 2 digits of your national insurance number, as shown in this table here. I'd be a Wednesday guy myself. How do you build up a full entitlement? So, as we've already touched on, it's all about national insurance contributions and building up enough qualifying years. You'll need at least 10 qualifying years to have any state pension at all, but to get the full entitlement, you'll need 35. One point to note is that these don't have to be consecutive, you just need them in total. To have a qualifying year, one of these following things need to have applied to you. You were working and paid national insurance contributions. You were getting national insurance credits, for example, if you were unemployed, ill, or a parent or carer. Or you were paying voluntary national insurance contributions. What about the old state pension if you contracted out? So the previous system hasn't been forgotten about entirely, and it still in fact has a bearing in some cases on the new state pension and how much people are entitled to. Now, this is fairly complicated, whereby a calculation is carried out to see which regime, the old or new state pension, would have made you better off. If due to your NI record prior to 2016 you would have had a higher pension on the old regime, you'll be entitled to something called a protected payment, so you don't lose out under the new state pension rules. And this is where contracting out comes in also, as this affects the calculation on what you would have got on the old regime. Like I say, this is a little complex. I'll leave this link in the description which explains this in more detail and shows you some examples. If you think this affects you, have a good read through this. You can then ask for a calculation to be sent to you whereby they will break it all down specific to you and show you what you're entitled to and how they've got to that figure. How do you top up your state pension if you're not entitled to the full amount? If you discover you've got gaps in your national insurance record that means you are short of the 35 years you need to get the full state pension, you may be able to get either national insurance credits if you were ill or unemployed, for example, or by making voluntary national insurance contributions to catch up. Essentially, you'll need to weigh up the cost of these contributions versus the benefit of the higher lifetime pension amount to see which is best in your circumstances. A bit of maths is required here, but it is often pretty good value for money to top up and get the higher pension amounts, as, don't forget, the pension, once it's in payment, is in place for the rest of your life. Is it taxed when it's being paid? The short answer is yes, it is. It is seen as income, and as such income tax is applicable, the same way as earned income from, say, employment would be, for example. However, if this is your only source of income, it will sit within your tax-free personal allowance, meaning you won't actually have tax to pay on it. So the personal allowance is currently £12,570. This is the amount you can earn in any 1 year before you pay tax on it. A full entitlement to the new state pension is worth approximately £10,600 a year, as we said earlier, which falls under this level. So, although it is technically a taxable source of income, it is not actually taxed in this scenario. If you have other income, however, private pensions, rental income, etc., be aware you are likely to have to pay tax on the state pension. How much depends on what bands your total income falls in. Oh, and one final point to note on tax here is one little bonus. You won't pay national insurance contributions anymore once you hit state pension age. Can you delay your state pension if you don't want it yet? Yes, you can. If you don't claim your state pension, as we discussed earlier, you'll automatically be deemed to be delaying it, or to use the correct term, deferring it to a later date. For anyone now reaching state pension age on or after April the 6th, 2016, as long as you defer for at least 9 weeks, your state pension increases by the equivalent of 1% for every 9 weeks you defer. This works out at just under 5.8% for every year. The extra amount is paid with your regular state pension payment. Here's an example. If you were due to get £203.85 a week, the full new state pension, by deferring for 1 year, you'll get an extra £11.82 a week. How do you get your own personal state pension forecast? This is the best place to start with any state pension queries you might have, and I'm glad to say it's pretty straightforward. Just Google state pension forecast or go to this link, which I'll leave in the description, and click the button that says Start Now. You'll need a government gateway user ID, so if you've not already got one, you can follow the steps to create one from here also. If online is no good for you, you need this, a BR19 form, which you can post instead, but online is quicker and more efficient in my experience. Whichever way you choose, doing this forecast will likely answer all of your big questions. How much state pension you could get, when you can get it, and how to increase it if you can. So it's well worth doing this. Can you rely on it? Now here's the golden question. The state pension is a political hot potato and is always messed with and subject to change. No one knows its future. All I know is the challenges it faces with ever-increasing life expectancy means it's only going to get harder to maintain, not easier. I would urge everyone to not rely on the state pension for their retirement. Instead, see it as the icing on the cake to top up your income from other sources that you should try and build throughout your working life. Private pensions, investments, property, whatever that may be. This way, your retirement can be in your control and not in the hands of other people making decisions on your behalf. Now, in the interest of time, I haven't covered absolutely everything state pension here. Living abroad, inheriting state pension as examples, but the video would be 10 years long if I did, and it's hard enough to keep you here for 10 minutes on a topic like this. The government website is a great resource for all this stuff, so I'll leave you to do some further reading. If you're looking for more information on private pensions and how they work, I have this complete beginner's guide here which covers everything from the different types of pensions, tax relief, death benefits, and all that interesting stuff. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer as many as I can. But in the meantime, my name is Tom Morgan from That Finance Show. Thanks for watching and please consider subscribing if you found this useful.